Buddy, let's see. Is that okay? There you go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the special edition of the Trig Podcast of Joy on this very interesting Saturday afternoon. It's 2:30 here on April the 13th, where there has been a launch, if you haven't heard, of drones, between 400 and 500 drones from Iran, who is an enemy of Israel, towards Israel in retaliation, in response to the bombing of an Iranian embassy in where was it? It was in Syria, I believe, in the city of Damascus. So last week, I believe, there was a bombing that was allegedly supported or done by Israel on an Iranian embassy in Syria, which is north of Israel. And so in retaliation, apparently Iran has been threatening for the last week or so that they were going to retaliate. And so today, indeed, between 400 and 500 drones have been launched towards Israel and are expected to arrive. It's midnight right now there in Israel, so probably between 3, 4, 5 a.m. if they make it all the way to Israel. And so I want to show you a map of the region so that you know kind of what we're talking about. And is this prophetic? Is this what we've been waiting for? Maybe it's not the right way to say it. It's not like anybody is waiting for war. But is this what is meant to be, I guess is really what I mean to say. So this is where Iran is here. It's the bigger of the two countries, Iran and Iraq. It's not Iran, by the way. It's Iran. And I believe it's still Iraq. I'm not sure if it's Iraq. I think it's Iraq as well. But Iran has been a traditionally anti-Israel region. They are Muslim, and Israel, of course, is Jewish. And so you have, we don't know where in the western border here. Some people say 100 drones. Some people say 400 or 500 drones. They do take hours to get there. They are the slowest of any of the military attacks that Iran could be launching on Israel. And be advised, this is the very first time, I think ever, in the region where Iran has launched missiles against Israel, to Israel proper. And so let's see if I have, let's see, do I have a pen here? How do I draw on this map? I don't know. Let's see, how do I draw on this map? I don't know if I can, Not sure. Let's see, I know I can do it this way. If I open this and then draw on it, so I guess we'll just do this for now. So let's see here. How do I draw on here? Okay. Let's use this tool. Okay, there we go. So here's Iran. So in the western border, so all these X's that I'm drawing, all these red lines, I guess, this is where Iran already has drones and all kinds of weapons already aimed at. I know you can't see that really well, can you? How do I make this bigger? Let's see. No, that's not working. Let's see. Nope. How do I zoom this in? I don't know if I can. Let's see if I can zoom this in. Oops, where did it go? Let me get it back on the screen here. Okay, can I zoom this in? Yes, I can. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think you can see that. So let me go back to the pen, to the drawing tool. I think that's it right there, right? Okay, so along this border here, the western border, this is the eastern border that is next to Afghanistan and Pakistan. So here to the west, and of course the U.S. is all the way to the west. Here's Italy, Rome, Greece, Turkey, Syria, Jordan. So If Iran wanted to attack Israel directly, they would not be using drones because they take the longest. So it could be a diversion, and then they're going to have actual military attacks that are maybe stationed in Syria, because Iran has what are the proxies, meaning other partners, you could say, allies, proxies. I want to use red here. How do I use red? Let's see here. Okay, that's red, right? No? Why is that blue? Why is that blue? I don't know why it's blue. I want it to be red. Is that red now? No, it's not clear. Okay. How about this? No, that's nothing. Is this it? Okay, there it is. Those are arrows now. These are thick lines, whatever. So Israel has proxies for meaning allies or troops in Syria. I don't know if Lebanon is an ally. I believe they are, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong, if you know more about this than I do, which wouldn't surprise me. Let's see if I can choose red here. No, that's still not red. How about this? Is this red now? Okay, there we go. Okay, so they could be coming in this way from Syria. I believe, as I said, that Syria is an ally of Iran. Jordan has said that they don't want to get involved with anything, and so you could expect them to not be a part of this craziness. World War III. Is this World War III? Is this just something that will just come and go? So they wouldn't send drones all the way here and cross Iraq, who also are their enemies, right? I don't know if Iraq is going to allow, because remember, these are international air space, so you can just go through randomly other countries. And Iran is very far from Israel, and so they would have to get permission, meaning not get shut down by Iraqi defense, to go through Iraq and then maybe through Jordan and into Israel. That would be one path. Or they can go through Iran and then Iraq and then through Syria and boom into Israel. And I believe that Syria is an ally, so that could be a way. Or as I said, they could go down this way, Iraq, through Saudi, right? Is that what this is below? Yes, Saudi Arabia, and then through Jordan, boom, into Israel. So they have many pathways. And what could be happening is that these drones, let's see if I can find a drone here somewhere. Let me find a drone so that we can add some pictures here to this, or some images. So that's what a drone looks like. It's not the kind of drones that we think of, like, to take pictures. These are military drones, so it would be something like this, along these lines. So let's see. So it's along those lines. So again, these are not drones that you use to do a church event or a church video. This is serious business. So let's see, added. Here we go. Let's see if we can add that. No, it won't let me. Will it? How can I add this to that? Well, there you have it, right? That does not look pretty, right? That does not look. And imagine 100 or 400 or 500 of these aimed at at Jerusalem or at IDF, Israeli Defense Forces stations or bases, or at civilians, God forbid. You're talking about a major deal and a major escalation. Now, if all that Iran does is, as if all is to send these drones and they don't make it because they get shot down by, let's say, Jordanese forces. And if none of these drones actually make it to Israel, then you could say that Israel would say, okay, we'll call it even, right? We bombed your city in Syria, Damascus. We bombed the Iranian embassy in Syria, and so we're going to call it even and de-escalate. That's what you want. That's what you hope for, right? None of us want escalation. just because we're all the way here in the U.S., it doesn't mean that this thing doesn't affect us, because, as you know, the U.S. is an ally, number one ally to Israel. And so anything that affects Israel, the U.S. will be involved in. And so there are all kinds of ships and warships and airships, I guess, warships, that are already stationed, including troops, all over Israel and outside in the Mediterranean Sea. So you're going to have all kinds of U.S. warships that are going to be here, and as well as troops that are in Israel, as well as perhaps, I don't know if in Jordan, I don't think, maybe in Egypt, I'm not sure who are the U.S.'s allies in the area, that on command are going to then fight against Iran. God forbid, right? Because you're talking now about a major war in the region, which nobody wants. And so again, Iran has launched 100 to 200, maybe more, drones into the area. Let me see if I can make this into an arrow. Here we go. So all these kinds of drones are going into the area. Is that how come that's not an arrow? Boop. Arrow? No, not an arrow. Arrow? No. I don't know why it's not drawing an arrow for some reason. There's an arrow? No, not an arrow. I don't know. Oh, there they are. How did it do that? Okay. Oh, do I just choose? Oh, okay. That's what it's doing. Okay, got it. Okay. So anyway, so there we go. So Iran has launched 200, 100. I don't know exactly. There are different reports. 300, 400. It's going to take hours. It's midnight there now, 12:33 or so. And so it might not be until 4 or 5 a.m. No, excuse me. Let's see, about 5 or 6 p.m. our time, when these drones, if they don't get shot down by Jordan. I don't know if Syria will shoot them down. I believe that Syria is also anti-Israel, as is Iraq. And I believe Jordan tries to stay out of the problem, right? Out of the region. Because I believe that during Desert Storm, Jordan said if Iran shoots or sends any sort of drones or any missiles across Jordan on their way to Israel, we will shoot them down. And so that could very well be what happens this time. But if Iran is sending drones, let's say this way, I don't know if Turkey is an ally. I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. It could be. And again, just because a country's an ally doesn't mean they're going to let drones just go through their countries, because then they're going to be in war with Israel, right? So assuming that Iran goes through Iraq and Syria and not Jordan, let's say this way, right, into Israel, that makes the most sense, that they wouldn't go through Jordan. And so they would mostly be sending drones from the north of Iran through Iraq, through Syria, into Israel, into the northern part of Israel. Or perhaps, no one knows what part of Israel is being aimed or being targeted. And so all of these are major, major problems. So now this could just be stage one, or a distraction. There could be missiles. Let's look at missiles now. Let's see what Iranian missile, right? So this is what a missile would look like, right? So these are the most advanced missiles that they have. So let's look at some of these horrible things, right? So there we go. So this is a missile. Here, let me show you. So imagine hundreds of these things. These guys are going to travel a lot faster than a drone. A drone is going to be more slow traveling. It's going to take longer, as I said, hours, whereas a missile could get there in an hour or less. And these obviously are going to be harder to shoot down because they're faster, they're more dangerous, they're more explosive, they are just simply horrible tools of war. And that's why I always tell people, when it comes to even our U.S. rhetoric when it comes to politics and anger, to not mess around with war. I've been through war. Speaking of Iran, I went through the Iran-Contra, remember that war of 1978 and 79 in Nicaragua? And so, horrible, horrible stuff. And so we need to be praying for peace in the region. Obviously, God says to pray for the peace of Israel, but we really should be praying for the peace of the whole region, because this is not a game. This is not something to say, hey, let's go get him, Israel. And this is not fun. This is not good. This is, I don't think there's anything to fear as far as living in fear of what it means for us here in the U.S. But I do think that we need to be aware, mindful. This is a major thing, a major escalation to have, as I said, for the first time in the history. I mean, imagine how many years, hundreds of years, thousands of years, Iran, Iraq have been fighting again against each other. And then now Israel and the whole region have been fighting. And this is the first time in history that Iran has attacked or has sent an actual attack, an actual military attack towards Israel in retaliation for the bombing of the Iranian embassy in Syria. I believe it was last week or 2 weeks ago, which of course was in retaliation for the last thing and from the last thing, and so the ongoing war that's been happening here and tension in the region. But yet, this is obviously a major escalation. Now, what will Israel do? Well, they've said they're going to defend themselves and go on the offensive, especially if any of these drones hit civilians, kill anyone, actually make it to Israeli land. You know that Israel's going to then send back missiles, maybe troops that are stationed in Jordan, or maybe from Kuwait, right here in the Persian Gulf. You know that the U.S. has a ton of military personnel. Let's see here, personnel in the region here. I'm going to draw here something here. Let's see if we can draw a little. Let's see, how do we draw circles? Okay, we don't want that. Okay. So these are all airplanes, let's just say. Okay, there we go. So that's what I wanted, actually. Let's say these are not airplanes, but ships that are stationed in the region. I don't know what this one was. That was kind of fun. Okay, so these are ships that the U.S. has in the Persian Gulf that are ready, again, to strike Iran if Israel needs support. And so this could be a pretty crazy thing if, let's say, Iran gets involved, then Israel needs American support, and then you have troops going into into Iran from the Persian Gulf, American troops, etc. So we hope and pray that none of this happens. That's my point here. We're praying and believing and trusting that none of this will happen. What's the best case scenario here is that Iran's drones aren't the precursor or the prelude to any sort of ground troops or any sort of missile strikes, that this is it, that it's only drones, and that they get shot down either by Israeli anti-drone missiles or anti-drone defenses, or they get shot down by Jordanese troops, and that these drones never make it to land. Or if they do, it doesn't cause a lot of damage and they call it even. Worst case scenario is what I've been laying out here, that this escalates into a major war in the region between Iran, Israel, and then you've got Hezbollah, that is, I believe, an Iranian proxy that is in the area. You could have then Hamas, who could either also strike Israel. Lebanon might or may not get involved. You have, of course, what Bin Laden was overseeing. I'm sure they're still around. What was the name of the Bin Laden? His group, I guess, or his I don't know if group is the right word, but bin Laden. Let's just call it bin Laden. Let's see. He was part of what now? Of not Hezbollah. Of Al Qaeda. Duh. Okay, so Al Qaeda may still be around. I'm sure they are, and so they might very well go into the region as well, if provoked, or if they see that, hey, this is the time to get in there and do some crazy. So we're praying against any of this. We're praying for the peace of Jerusalem, for the peace of the region, really. The Bible says pray for Jerusalem, but I think we also need to be praying just for the peace of the whole region, so that we're not having any crazy happen here in the region. So I also want to go see some of the news that are happening here. Let's see. This is a live feed from, I believe this is Tel Aviv. And so this guy is reading different things on Twitter, X. Iranian cruise missile heading at low altitude towards Israel tonight, seen over eastern Iraq. So back to our image. So eastern Iraq would then be this region right here. And so there are some missiles already, or drones that have, did he say missiles or drones? Very important. Missile. Wow, cruise missile is different than a drone. Remember how I was talking about those missiles? These guys, let's see, where was that? Yeah, these guys right here. No, that's a drone. These guys right here. Yeah, that. So if Israel is saying that they have noticed or seen on radar, etc., missiles, and it's not going to be just one, it's going to be dozens, whatever it is, that are going from Iran into the eastern Iraq skies. That means that not only are there drones coming through, which will take hours, 3, 4, 5 hours, but also missiles that could take 30, 40, 50 an hour, a lot faster to get to Israel. And that's major. That's a major escalation if you have missiles coming at Israel. And so I was watching another guy here talking about this here. I believe it's this guy who's also doing some stuff. I don't need to hear them. I just want to see if they have anything. I think this guy here. Yeah, so this is a live feed of, I believe this is of Tel Aviv. Yeah, Tel Aviv up there. It's, as I said, it's about 1 a.m. there right now. So there's nothing to see except what could be, because there could be some missiles that will get here in the next hour. There could be some, well, definitely some drones that have been already launched at Israel. And so they could get there in the next 3, 4 hours. So about 5 p.m. or so, our time here, Pacific, or 6 p.m., about 3, 4 a.m. Israeli time. They're about 10 hours ahead, I believe, from the Pacific here, from the LA Pacific time. What does Reuters say? Jordan will temporarily close its airspace starting on Saturday night to all incoming, departing, and transit aircraft. State-owned Al Mamlaka News said on Saturday. So back to my point, to my map here, if there are missiles or drones going over Jordan airspace, then Jordan will either shoot them down or will, shoot them down. They're not going to allow them to go through their airspace into Israeli territory. That's what traditionally has happened, and so that's what we could expect. So the thing about Israel is, as much as we think they're huge geographically, they're actually a very small country. And then with all the Hamas stuff, Israel's definitely being taxed tremendously in terms of their defense mechanisms and their preparedness. But this is not new to Israel. They know that this is imminent, always has been imminent, and so they are prepared, and as well as their allies, mostly the U.S. And so now I wanted to go back to where is all this happening in comparison to, let's see, Iran map to the U.S. Let's just go to our map here, back to this guy here. Okay, so this is what Iran looks like here. And so if you're looking at, okay, how does this affect me here in the U.S.? Well, this is where everything's happening, right? Iran through Iraq and Syria into Jerusalem or into Israel, the West Bank, which of course it's Palestinian occupied, the Gaza Strip, which is Palestinian, and then all of Israel. Of course, we know all the stuff about Hamas that's happening in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, mostly in the Gaza Strip and Israel. So now, how does that affect us? Well, obviously, physically, we're far from the place, geographically, I should say. So here's the U.S., here's L.A., here's Nicaragua, where I'm from, L.A., New York, wherever you may live. If you're maybe in Europe, Spain, France, Italy, Algeria. So it's not like, okay, there's something happening here locally. But as I said, you have all of these alliances and all the stuff that the U.S. is protecting, all of the interests that the U.S. is protecting, right? And so you bet that the U.S. is going to be watching this. They're already watching this with a very interested and very alerted eye, because Israel is, or the U.S. is Israel's number one ally, as well as the U.K. and other countries in the region. And so you have all these things at play. And so you can see where everything is. China, Russia, north of China up here, and Finland, etc., Egypt, and you have South America, North America, Canada. This is the world. And back to LA here in our little country, beautiful cities, and all this that's happening in this very hot and very militant region, very mercurial. You can say mercurial, meaning anything could go wrong any minute. And so something has happened today. About a few hours ago, Iran has sent a attack upon Israel, a drone attack. So I'm going to go back to some of the news here that we may see. Let's see if we have anything else that is maybe more relevant or newer. Let's see what this guy's doing here. Yeah, and we know that Iran has nuclear weapons, and so we're talking about some pretty crazy stuff, right? Iran is nuclear, and so is, I believe, Israel. So anyway, God forbid, we're praying for peace in the region. So that's what we're doing, praying for peace, the peace of Israel, that God will protect us and keep this region in his safety. So that's it for now. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Does this alarm you? Is this prophetic? Is this part of what's been happening with the pandemic and I don't know, whatever else? People were saying that earthquakes and all these things, right? And the ship up in, where was it, in New Jersey, right? That wrecked that bridge. All this is part of prophecy. Is it silliness, or is it all related and connected and meant to be? There have always been wars. There have always been conflict in the region, especially here in the Middle East. And so I'm not saying yes or no. I think it's all part of God's plan. He knows what he's doing. And I'm not afraid, because we know that we belong to Jesus. And if anything is to happen, of course, as I said, don't pray for war. I don't think anyone is. Don't be so quick to say, yeah, let's go get them. War is horrible. I've been through it in my native Nicaragua. Oh, yeah, let me show you where I think I told you, but Iran, again, the Iranian Contra war, remember? Well, the Contras were here in Nicaragua. That's where I'm from. And because of that conflict and the horrible war of 1978, 79, 1980, 81, 82, then I had to come to the U.S., which has been a blessing, but also has been difficult in terms of family and other things. War is not something to mess with or to wish upon anyone. If you're a veteran, if you were a part of World War II, perhaps your parents, your grandparents, or if you are a Vietnam War veteran, then you know. Or even Desert Storm, that wasn't maybe the same escalation, but obviously a lot of problems happened, a lot of PTSD, and people lost their lives. Of course, 9/11, we didn't have to go that far. 9/11 just happened 20 years ago, which seems like a long time, but it really isn't. These horrible airplanes from the mastermind of Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda in Iraq, right? Iran and Pakistan, Afghanistan, all this, right? This is where he was. And he was eventually caught, I believe, in Pakistan. And so from this region, Al Qaeda and bin Laden masterminded the horrible events of 9/11 all the way here in the US of A. So this is all connected, or you couldn't see that. So I guess I was just showing you here on the map, but let's see if I can show you. Sorry about that. Here we go. So I was just talking about the region here, how from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, I believe that Al Qaeda was here along the Euphrates River in the where Iran and Iraq connect, where the two rivers, Tigris and the Euphrates, excuse me, where they come together. I believe it's in Iran, or maybe it's in Iraq. So from here, this region is where bin Laden did all his masterminding. Eventually he was killed in Pakistan, to then send airplanes. First he sent all these different pilots to train in the US in different regions, parts of the country, parts of the world, the UK, etc., to then fly into the US years before 9/11. And then on that horrible day, a mastermind plan was executed and killed 3,000 people on 9/11 in New York at the Twin Towers. So we pray for peace, because war is horrible. Oh yeah, I was also showing you my native Nicaragua. The Iran right here, Contra, the Nicaraguan, the U.S. supported Contras. Contras just means against the government. And so then Oliver North and all that stuff. And that's why, in many ways, I am now here in the U.S. I came here as a child as a result of that horrible war that killed many people in Nicaragua, as well as in other parts of this region here. So we want to pray for peace, because these are all very terrible things, and we have to pray for peace, that things will de-escalate and that nothing horrible will happen, nothing crazy will happen, but that the best case scenario, as I said, is that Israel will say, okay, that happened to us, okay, we're even, we shot your people, you shot our people. Okay, let's call it even and move on. So that's what we're praying for in Jesus' name. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Adios.